For over a year, she was just gone. No explanation, no goodbye, just silence. And if you've been watching Escape to Rural France, you probably noticed it too. Dan Preston kept building, the chateau kept rising, but Annelise, the woman who helped build the dream from day one, completely disappeared. So, what really happened? In this video, we're diving into the untold story behind her absence, the quiet separation, and their surprising reunion that no one saw coming. The questions started quietly. Where's Annelise? Why doesn't she show up in the videos anymore? At first, people assumed she was just behind the camera or taking a break. But weeks turned into months, and by the time Dan bought Chateau de Chaumont in October 2022, it was clear that something had shifted. Let's back up for a second. Chateau de Chaumont. Built in 1886, the place was once a safe haven for nearly 200 Jewish children during World War II. Later, a fire left it badly damaged and forgotten. When Dan bought it, there was no roof, electricity, or plumbing. Just rubble, history, and a ton of potential. Most people would have walked away, but Dan didn't. He moved in, camping on site with basic tools and an unshakable sense of purpose. He started rebuilding the place from the ground up, filming every moment. His channel exploded. What had once been a modest account suddenly attracted hundreds of thousands of viewers. People tuned in for the restoration, yes, but also because Dan seemed so genuine. Just a guy doing hard things for the right reasons. But no matter how many beams he laid or stone walls he fixed, one question kept floating through the comment sections. What happened to Annelise? Turns out, Dan and Annelise quietly separated around 2021. No drama or scandal, just two people whose paths started to diverge. They'd been together a long time and had 2 kids, but somewhere in the grind of it all, the construction, parenting, and the pressure, it became clear that their relationship wasn't working the way it once did. Dan started living in an Airbnb. Annelise stayed at the farmhouse with the boys, and life just moved on. Of course, the internet doesn't do well with silence. Rumors popped up, especially on forums and comment threads. Some accused Dan of hiding the separation. Others wondered if Annelise had left for good. People speculated, overanalyzed, and sometimes projected their own emotions onto a story they only partly knew. There's a strange intimacy that comes from watching someone else's life unfold in real time, especially when it's stripped of glamour. We start to feel like we know these people, their routines, quirks, and the sound of their laugh when something goes wrong. That's what makes it feel personal when one of them steps away. It's more than just curiosity. It's concern and even empathy. We root for these stories because deep down we want to believe that real life, messy, raw, and unfiltered, is still worth showing up for. But then, something unexpected happened. In April 2024, both Dan and Annelise appeared together on an episode of the Chateau Diaries, the channel run by Stephanie Jarvis. It wasn't some big reunion. There were no dramatic declarations or tears, just 2 people sitting and talking comfortably. You could feel the respect between them, the kindness for fans who had been watching since the farmhouse days. It felt like a deep breath after years of holding one in. It was also a reminder that not every relationship needs a perfect fairy tale ending to be meaningful. Even after their split, Dan has spoken respectfully of Annelise. He's mentioned co-parenting, how the boys are doing, how grateful he is for her support. She might not be on camera, but her presence is still felt in subtle ways. Through the way Dan talks about family and the balance he tries to maintain between work and parenting. And maybe that's the part people don't talk about enough, what it means to grow separately, without resentment. Sometimes love just changes shape. It becomes co-parenting, shared responsibilities, quiet check-ins. It becomes something gentler. Dan has since thrown himself into the restoration full-time. Escape to Rural France has grown rapidly. With over 649,000 subscribers and more than 223 million views, his channel brings in solid revenue, roughly $10,000 to $13,000 a month just from ads. Add to that his Patreon, which has almost 4,000 supporters and earns him around $6,800 each month, and you can see how this once impossible dream is now being built, quite literally with help from the community. As for Annelise, she's kept a low profile. There's no spin-off channel or dramatic "here's my side" video. She's chosen privacy, And in this day and age, that might be the most powerful move of all. She's focused on the kids, on daily life, and on building something stable away from the spotlight. And honestly, who can blame her? But her absence from the channel still lingers, especially for longtime viewers. Because for years, she wasn't just a supporting character. She was half the story. From sanding walls to running wires while pregnant, she was there for all the scrappy, beautiful early moments. And then, she wasn't. That kind of quiet exit stays with people. It makes you wonder, when does a personal decision become a public one? At what point does someone owe an explanation just because they've shared part of their life online? Some fans felt Dan should have said more, sooner. Others respected the way he handled it, discreetly, without dragging anyone through the mud. Ultimately, it's a reminder that real people live behind these screens. And real life doesn't always follow a neat story arc. Over on Reddit, discussions about Escape to Rural France are just as layered. Some users have dug deep, comparing timelines, swapping theories, and sharing observations from years of content. Others take a gentler view, pointing out how respectful both Dan and Annelise have been throughout. It's clear there's a shared investment, not in gossip, but in closure. One thread even celebrated the moment they reunited on the Chateau diaries, calling it refreshing to see ex-partners model mature co-parenting without turning it into drama. It's clear that, even in the messiness of online speculation, most people genuinely wish them both well. So where does that leave them now? Dan keeps working on the Chateau, sharing updates on everything from massive timber installs to electrical wiring. His videos are more technical now, more about the process. The quiet beauty of rural life still shines through. Birds chirping in the background, long shots of green hills, slow camera pans of crumbling stone walls being slowly revived. It's meditative, even therapeutic to watch. And somewhere nearby, Annelise is living a life that's no longer broadcast, raising 2 boys, holding down a home, and maybe drinking her coffee in peace without the pressure of an upload schedule. They've both continued, just on different paths. There's something really human about that. You don't need to hate someone to grow apart. Sometimes it's enough to just say, this is how it is now, we're okay, the kids are okay, so what's next? For Dan, the mission continues. The Chateau still has years of work ahead, roof sections to finish, interiors to restore, and endless little details that make a place truly livable. His channel keeps evolving, with each upload pulling viewers deeper into the rhythm of rural life and the craft of heritage restoration. As for Annelise, she's chosen a quieter path, raising their boys, managing the farmhouse, and living mostly off-screen. Whether or not she'll ever return to YouTube or share her own story remains unknown. But if the past is any indicator, whatever the future holds, it will be handled with the same grace and quiet strength they've both shown so far. In the world of YouTube, where drama sells and clickbait rules, this quiet dignity felt refreshing. It was real. And maybe that's why Dan and Annelise's story still sticks with people. Not because it was perfect, but because it was honest. So when someone asks, what happened to the wife from Escape to Rural France? We could say, she stepped away, chose peace, privacy, still raising her boys and still being a part of the story, just not on camera. In the end, the story of Dan and Annelise is beyond just about a YouTube channel or a broken-down chateau. It's about what it means to evolve, separately, but side by side. Life rarely moves in straight lines. Sometimes love becomes something else entirely. Mutual respect, shared responsibility, quiet understanding. Annelise may not be part of the on-screen narrative anymore, but her role in the early chapters made the foundation stronger. And maybe that's the beauty of it. Some people don't need to be in every frame to leave a lasting mark on the story.